So just recently, we got the first 2 episodes of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and coming into it, I wasn't particularly sure how I felt about it. When I watched the trailer that dropped earlier this month, I thought it looked kind of interesting. But at the same time, I just wasn't sure. I did like the comic book style, but not completely, and I did think the world felt a bit empty, at least in the stuff we saw in the trailers. So whilst I'm always going to go out of my way to watch some Spider-Man, I wasn't sure whether it would actually be any good. If they'd actually put the money and the effort into making this a decent show, or if it was going to be one of those shows that's best left forgotten. Well, spoiler alert, I really liked it. And so I figured we could talk about the episodes in depth, starting off today with episode 1, Amazing Fantasy. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers ahead, so be forewarned. So let's get started, shall we? The episode kicks off following Peter on his first day at his new high school, Midtown. Pretty stock standard introduction so far. The more you look at the visuals, the more it straight up just looks like a comic book come to life. I love that actually. Is it the highest quality? Nah, not really, but it looks unique and also nostalgic in a way. And honestly, the quality is higher than it looked in the trailer. Also, this voice actor is serving up what feels to be his best Tom Holland impression. I'm not complaining about it, it works. I just thought it deserved commenting on. Peter is of course running late because for some reason he can't set an alarm to go to school on his first day. Whoops. So he speedruns, getting into his Arthur the Aardvark cosplay, and gets his breakfast and lunch served up in a to-go bag by his aunt. Lukewarm oatmeal and a sandwich smooshed together. Ugh, no. Since this is Peter Parker we're talking about, he of course has to miss his train, and he does. Public transport always defeats Peter Parker. Honestly, it's a pretty generic opening sequence, but sometimes the tried and tested is the tried and tested for a reason. Here though was the first really clever and funny part of the episode for me. Realizing he's going to be late, he looks down at his bag, and of course we the audience are left to assume, oh shit, here he goes, he's going to whip out the sword. We're going to see some Spidey, hell yeah. He oh so slowly opens the bag for the big reveal, the music begins to swell, and it's just his disgusting breakfast. Nice. I will admit this made me laugh more than it probably should have. I loved it. Perfectly built up the hype, only to dump a cold bucket of water over your head, but not in a bad way. May then turns up and drives him to school so he's not going to be late on his first day, with them having a quick chat in the car. The first part of their conversation where he explains how Midtown has the best robotics program in the country and he's wanted to go there for years felt a bit forced exposition-y, if that makes sense. It felt like a conversation that was just there to explain for the audience what was going on. It didn't really make all that much sense for the conversation to go in that direction with these two characters who would have surely discussed this before. There's a cute moment where Peter goes out of his way to thank May for being there for him, especially since they lost Uncle Ben. Usually Uncle Ben dies at the hands of a criminal that Peter could have caught but chose not to, right? Builds up that complex in Peter that makes him somewhat self-destructive to his own life, in that he never goes on a break, and he'll always go after a criminal, no matter how small, because you never know what might happen. So they didn't include that, but I do kind of like it anyway. It's a trope that is a bit overplayed perhaps, but I figured it was like Batman, it's there for a reason. Oh well, at least here, I don't think changing it's going to alter his character too much. Bad luck for Peter though, because as he's about to cross the road on his first day, a portal opens up and a symbiote monster falls through it battling Doctor Strange. Oh, and a little spider's dangling through the portal too. So there's the confirmation that Peter isn't a hero yet, and that whatever world Doctor Strange was just on must be a hellscape. Freaky giant bug alien people, radioactive power giving spiders. No thank you. Why would you even go to that planet? Why would you go to that plane of existence? Just stay home, Doctor Strange. Anyway, they battle, and it's a lot of fun. I especially love the little comic book panels that would appear to divide up the action, and the reaction shots of the different characters were great too. Especially good was Doctor Strange when he realizes his supposedly impenetrable shield had just been penetrated by the monster. Just that super close-up of his shocked face and the quip of, never using that spell again, was excellent. Yeah, this battle just slaps in general. Doctor Strange fights are always good, and this one's no exception. Changing gravity, using portals, phasing through the garbage truck when it gets chucked at him, reversing time to try to prevent it severely damaging the school, the Cape getting involved to stop Strange from getting injured a couple of times. It was all very exciting. I actually liked that they made this thing seem imposing and rather strong. It also shows how hard it is to be a hero, even a professional one, a big-timer. Because Strange has to keep distracting himself from the fight to try to protect people and try to stop collateral damage, which allows the Beast to take him out of the fight temporarily. Thus, Peter has to step in when the monster targets somebody and chucks a brick at it, which buys enough time for Strange to re-enter the fight again and take it back through the portal. Closing the portal in turn cuts the spider string, which allows it to fall onto Peter and bite him as he's making a new friend, with the spider bite knocking him out pretty quickly. And you know what, that's fair enough. I always felt like altering your DNA via spider venom would be a bit of a shock to the system. Also, gotta say that lucky that fight didn't happen just moments later, right? Otherwise that tossed truck would have killed some kids in those classrooms. Also, I do want to note the spider, when it bit Peter, it didn't die. It escaped from him onto another student's bag and got carried away. A student they didn't show the face of, so, could be a good chance there's going to be other spider people present in the show in the future. I mean, surely. In the normal Marvel canon, there are a bunch of other spider-type folk. Spider-Man, the Miles version, Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl. Lots of different options to play with, really. The intro theme then plays and is the most nostalgic intro I've seen for a cartoon in ages. Both classic but also new age feeling with the old school theme combined with the rap song. This thing just oozes Saturday morning cartoons in the best way possible. We then head back to Peter's bedroom for a new getting ready for school montage, only this time it's with Spidey powers. You know what? Good. So many times we see Peter with his powers and we have to see him learn to use them properly, but I think having him already, well, not master them, but know how to use them is way better. At this point, it does feel like everybody knows the story of Spider-Man. It's like how you're born with the knowledge of the Darth Vader plot twist. It's been absorbed into the public pop culture consciousness. So, to jump straight into things works a lot better. With all his new powers, he gets ready twice as fast, and he looks like he's actually going to make his train for once, only to get hit by a cab and get slowed down enough to miss it. Ouch. Also, aren't those zebra crossing things meant to be full-on pedestrian crossings that you have to give way for all foot traffic for? They are in Australia at the very least, so why is the taxi honking at him? Didn't the taxi break the law by charging him without giving way to pedestrians? Maybe America's different, I don't know. Here we finally get the proper suit-up scene where he looks into his bag and we see his prototype homemade suit. I actually really like this one. Feels like the most homemade one we've seen before. Pretty much just coloured athletic wear and then some very prototype web shooters. I love the addition of the valve and the tubes that connect to the shooters. Wouldn't make sense for them all to be compressed into the wrists at this point in time. This actually feels like something a genius teenager would be able to cobble together all by himself. Good stuff. We then have a web swinging montage where Peter zooms through a very empty looking city, to be honest. Very few cars, pretty much no people in the streets. I know it's cheaper to not bother and you're not supposed to focus on that, you're supposed to look at him, but I found it a bit distracting and kind of lazy. Anyway, he's making good time, at least until he sees this dude getting chased down by 3 thugs who are trying to shake him down with the guy screaming for help. Not a single person in the street is trying to help this guy, which sadly kind of feels true to life in a way. He tries to escape, almost gets run over by a car, only for Spider-Man to swoop in and save his life, landing down in an alleyway where they're confronted by the 3 thugs. I have to wonder about the intelligence of these dudes. They seemingly have a channel where they confront, beat and rob randoms in New York. They seem to have an actual following. How have they not been tracked down and arrested before this? It feels like an open and shut slam dunk conviction to me. And it's not like they're trying to hide or anything like that. They don't even wear masks. They're so brazen. So they threaten Spider-Man and start streaming, with the chat starting to rip on him, which, honestly, it is fair enough. I feel like that is exactly what degenerates who would watch this type of content would think of somebody dressed up like a budget superhero. One of the dudes then rushes Spidey with a brick, Spidey kicks it out of his hands and, well, I guess he didn't think this one through because he webs the brick and brings it back down and it smashes over the dude's head. So, in anything other than a cartoon, this guy's straight up dead, right? Hit in the head with a brick going very fast, seems to catch him on the side of the head, maybe even on his temple, with the brick being pulled by Spider-Man, who has extreme strength. Ouch. Yep, very dead indeed. Goodbye, skull. Also, you'd think that seeing this, the other 2 guys would at least try to run away, thinking, oh shit, what the hell, this guy has battle gadgets, I'm leaving. But no, they don't, and because of that, they get embarrassed and destroyed. Then they also get humiliated on their live stream as well, whilst being tied up to be arrested by the cops. Damn, no coming back from that. Channel's dead. Turns out the guy he rescued was Harry, and so slowly the chess pieces are being set up. I think Screwball was in the comments of the stream. We have the spider running loose, potentially making more spider people. Osborn's usually mean Green Goblin's going to eventually appear. His best friend character's going to have some powers for sure. Just getting really excited. It's so cool to see all these characters and make all these connections. Peter then showcases that even superpowers can't help him sneak past his algebra teacher, and he gets scolded. With his day going from bad to worse in one of the best and yet cringiest scenes in the entire episode. The dude bumps into Pearl, another hero in the future, and here he just melts into full-on goo goo gaga, love hard eyes mode. Honestly, this whole sequence was hard to sit through for me. Her clearly giving him the little brothering by calling him Petey, him calling himself Petey Parkey, her walking off after giggling at him. Nico figuring out that she was his babysitter after Peter tried to claim they were genuine friends. This is some straight up high school nightmare fuel. Some good old fashioned cringe. Also, with that age gap, and considering he just started high school, how old is he? Like 14? So she'd be what, 17? Yeesh. He's really thinking he's got a shot with her at this stage of the game? Nico should be a better friend and tell him he has no chance and not to ask her out. Because I was once Nico. I had a friend who thought he had a shot with a girl in her early 20s, and we were in high school. We all built him up. Oh, you can do it, man. And then we all awkwardly sat there when he got the rejection text. You could hear a pin drop in that moment. That is the fate that awaits Peter Parker. Anyway, back to class. Peter once again puts the world before his education, skipping out in order to try to stop a car that's speeding out of control, trying to escape the cops. I will admit that I, when watching this for the first time, thought to myself, why is Peter even bothering with this? Why sabotage your life so much? He already did one call out today. Why not wait until after school to do some more? Good thing I'm not Spider-Man, because he ends up saving a whole lot of people here. I honestly loved this action sequence. Really dynamic and fun, not too high stakes. There was that great shot where he stopped and focused and we got the POV of the web chasing the car down. I also like that whilst he does end up saving the day and being all impressive, he's not shown to be flawless. He's clearly still a rookie hero, and it shows in his movements and how long it takes him to chase down the goons, and the mistakes he makes along the way. I like this because it shows that he isn't some unstoppable, all-powerful force just yet. He's a rookie, and he has a long way to go until he resembles the Spider-Man we all know and love. From professional success to romantic failure, Peter returns to school and goes to make his move, only for Nico to be a better friend than me and pull him back, telling him that somebody's already asked Pearl out. Lonnie, the star quarterback from the school team. Also, pretty sure this dude's gonna end up becoming Tombstone, which is sad because the guy seems so nice. But yeah, Peter gets blocked and we all know that's for the best, really. Even without this guy, I'd say there was a 0% chance he was gonna say yes. I liked how the episode subverted your expectations here though. When they're in class, you kind of think that eventually it's going to be revealed that Lonnie's going to be the stereotypical douchebag who's going to eventually bully Peter, or he's going to exploit him for good grades when he asks for Peter to be assigned as his lab partner. But that's not the case at all. Instead, he shows that he's actually super smart and really friendly, to the point that Peter's ice melts instantly. And by the end of the day, he's raving to Nico about how he's such a nice guy and how they share interests and like the same music, etc, etc. Pretty funny, actually. But it's from funny to depressing, because after the end of the day, instead of following Peter home, we actually follow Lonnie with a sequence that transitions him through a neighborhood that steadily gets more and more rough looking, sees him get stared at on a train with people avoiding sitting next to him, getting intimidated by a cop flashing his lights at him and then driving past him real slowly while he stares. That, combined with his sad face when Peter left at the end of the day, well, it goes to show that he feels like an outsider, doesn't it? That he feels alone, targeted. God damn. They're going to make this villain turn hit so hard, aren't they? Especially since he goes home and it's all happy families and he's the best son ever. He helps his brother with his homework, he does chores, he's trying to fix his mum's car to save the money. Oh, are they going to get brutally murdered by some rogue villain? I hope that's not the case, but it does feel like there's a good shot of something like that happening. Then it's back to Peter doing Spider-Man things. I liked this next little scene with the woman at the pizza shop. How he asks the guy to give her a second chance, and not to potentially ruin her life over one mistake, especially since he got the money back. I actually thought this was really fun. It shows that he's a nuanced character, and that even though he fights crime, he's not going to beat down on genuinely good people who made a single mistake. He actually cares about the city and the people. And I thought that was a nice touch, added a lot of depth to his character. Then we finish off with Peter coming home, only to find Norman Osborn on the couch talking to his Aunt May. Excellent cliffhanger that sets up a lot of story hooks. Before I watched the second episode, immediately I thought that he knew that Spider-Man saved his son, and thus he worked to figure out who Spider-Man is. But having watched it back, seems like it might even just be a coincidence. Still, it's a pretty good ending, introducing the most iconic Nemesis character. Man, this show is just a lot of fun. Really hype and exciting. I'm excited to talk about episode 2 in my next video. And so yeah, that's the end of the episode, and I'll just remind you these have all been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of episode 1? Did you like it? Hate it? Are you thinking that the show has potential? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.